Hello everybody and welcome to my tutorial for Testificates, or villagers as they're more commonly called. In the new update 1.3, you will be able to trade with the villagers for gems or other valuable items. I can't do that on my server because it's on 1.2.5 still. But what I'm going to show you is still valid on 1.3. Now I can't teach here, I can't test here. While this is a perfectly functional village, and villagers will breed here, there are too many variables, too much noise. It's not clean enough, not scientific. So I have created a clean area far over the hills where it won't be interfered by anywhere else. And by the end of this video, we will be able to create, basically it's a villager apartment complex designed to get infinite villagers, as many as you could ever want, which will be especially useful since the latest update for 1.3 says that you lose the ability to trade if you use that trade option too many times. So shall we begin? We will be testing here, a nice clean space away from pretty much anything, except there is a village over there, but because this server is so old, my villages aren't populated. The only reason that one over there was populated was because I used the mob villager command, which will come in handy when we're testing this situation. I'm far too lazy to be transporting villagers the entire way out here. Now, as some of the quick-eyed viewers will notice, my foundations are a little small, basically leaving only a one-sized block for the villagers to spawn in. And as everybody knows, you have to have at least 2 by 2 inside of the house for villagers to spawn. Well, that's wrong. After extensive testing, I found that villagers will spawn perfectly fine if you only have a 1 wide by 2 high space. So that's what we'll be testing with, just because it's simple and easy to build and tear down and rearrange. So the first thing we have to do is build a proper village with enough doors to cause the villagers to breed. Here we are with 9 little basic houses, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And according to the Minecraft wiki, the number of doors times 0.35 will give you the number of villagers. So that's a little over 1/3. So that means with 9 doors, 1/3 is 3 villagers. So if I spawn 2 villagers, that means that they will breed and have a child. Thus, they will have 3 total villagers, which is 1/3 of 9. So as we can see, the Minecraft wiki was correct in saying that you will have approximately 1/3 the number of villagers as doors. We can see the little tiny Testificate running around. He's actually a butcher. The white apron signifies butcher, even though his 2 parents are farmers. But it also proves that a 3 by 3 house is perfectly fine for them to breed. So from here, we just do little tweaks and see what we can get away with. And here we are. Now we have 12 houses. So the 1/3 would mean that we would have 4 total villagers. So 2 adults, 2 children. And with this trick, we can see how long it takes between breeding cycles for the adults. Okay, and here we have 2 little children villagers in their own little homes. That took about 7 minutes, and since all of the other animals in the game actually have about 4 minutes or 1/4 of a Minecraft day between breeding cycles. I would assume that villagers are the same. So what have we learned? Well, we've learned that the requirements for a house inside of Minecraft are significantly less than we first thought. The Minecraft wiki mentions about 5 blocks. What it's actually referencing to is the inside blocks versus the outside blocks. How many blocks behind the door is inside versus how many blocks in front of the door are outside. And it judges that based on the 5 blocks in front of behind it. So if you have 3 blocks inside on one side and 5 blocks outside on the other side, the inside qualifies as a house. But if you have 3 blocks inside on the inside and 3 blocks inside on the other side, it does not qualify as a house. Which means that hotels don't work. But it also means that apartment complexes will. So if we build basically something like this and have every other block, too many. Keep doing it. But if we have every other block a door, in theory, this should work. Now, while we make something that doesn't look all that impressive, and is technically only one room, we should be able to spawn multiple baby villagers. Let's watch. And there we have it, the intricate villager mating dance caught on video. So as we saw, we have a really wide building with one room, but 10 doors, and we have a child. From here we can expand on this idea, and we will go off to the monstrosity that has freshly been cleared out. And here we are at my basic monstrosity. It's a relatively simple apartment complex for villagers. All I have is inside is just a big room with a whole bunch of doors. Specifically, I have 13 on each level, on this level anyways. Now my doors alternate. There's on the outside there and one over here. They don't have to alternate. I did it just exclusively for appearances. You also do not have to have the fences here, but you do have to have walkways, at least 1 block wide. If you do not have the walkways, this will not work. Now I already have 2 villagers here, and they already spawned 1 child, wherever he got to. And with 13 doors, they will spawn a maximum of 4 for this floor. Now the reason for that is this right here. You can't actually get to the 2nd floor. And that is very important. The villagers' breeding cycles are heavily dependent on walking paths. That's why you have to have the walkways up here for each door. Because if they can't get to the door, it doesn't register as a house. So to just keep them in small numbers, block off one of the levels. I have the second floor and higher blocked off, so that the villagers should only register the first floor as breedable. But there are 13 doors, and when they're finally done breeding, there are 8 villagers. That's more than the 1/3 limit. But if we take into account the 13 doors on the second floor, that is the 1/3 limit. So that means that there's a combination of walking path and detection radius for the villagers to register viable breeding grounds, which might suggest a possible explanation as to why a building this tall becomes an infinite villager spawner. I opened up the second floor, and we already have a kid. It took a few minutes, but they already registered that you can walk up here, and they already registered that they can breed again. So they detected that there are extra doors now because of the extra walking paths. Now, this is my theory. I don't know if this is accurate, but it would explain why this is happening. Villagers will register themselves to a specific door. So if they realize that, 3 out of 9 doors have villagers registered to them, they know that 1/3 has been taken and there's no more breeding. Now, the villagers will only register themselves just so high, possibly 6 or 7 floors. They won't register themselves to the 8th floor. Now that means they always think that the 8th floor is free, open for breeding, which would explain why this monstrosity ends up in an infinite loop of villager breeding. And after several hours, this is the insanity that you get. Now, if the information Minecraft is giving me is correct, I have over 300 villagers in this small confined area. That is significantly more than the 96 doors in this building should allow me to get. Now, I think they've stopped breeding. I'm not seeing any children. But because there are so many villagers in such a small space, that probably means I just need to put another level or 2 on there. That's the problem with working with glitches. It's kind of hard to pin down how exactly everything works. It might work with less levels, it might work with more. Probably mostly depends on what level you start. If I started lower, I might need more. If I started higher, I might need less. Can't say for sure. Like I said, this is just a glitch. Either way, I think I have clearly shown how to make as many villagers as you could possibly ever want. Now that's all well and good, but what if you want to make a fancy city, a pretty city, instead of a monstrosity like that? What if you want to make a city that looks like this? That brings up quite a few different questions. How far apart can the buildings be? How big can the buildings be? How high can the buildings be? Can we build underground? So many questions, so many possibilities. Would take so much time to test that I believe it requires its own video. So stay tuned for part 2 of everything about Testificates.